Hello everyone, Sidewin here, and today I am going to be talking about the Wood Kineticist in Pathfinder Second Edition. So the Wood Kineticist is one of the subclasses of the Kineticist using the element of wood. Wood is derived from Eastern alchemy, just like metal is in Pathfinder, and the Kineticist has completely infinite abilities, as I have said in previous videos on other elements. So the basic vocabulary for the Kineticist is you need to know what kinetic aura is. It's essentially an area around you, a 10-foot emanation, which has your element around you. It circles around you, and it can affect the area by you. So to activate your kinetic aura, you must use channel elements. Channel elements is a one-action ability, and you may also use a one-action elemental blast or a stance impulse. A stance, since I mentioned that before, is a passive effect which takes an action to activate and remains until you are knocked out, disable it, or change stance. For one round after you activate a stance, you cannot change it. The third most important piece of vocabulary is impulse. It requires an active kinetic aura and a free hand. It's attached to most Kineticist abilities. An additional ability which is not on this slide is overflow. After the use of an overflow ability, your kinetic aura is disabled. The final vocabulary to mention is infusion. An infusion is an ability that you use before you use an impulse, and it alters the impulse after it. So, some more on impulses. Impulses are always cast as the same level as the Kineticist. They can use the Kineticist class DC if the impulse forces a save. Those that require an attack roll have a bonus equal to Constitution modifier plus proficiency plus circumstance bonuses and other status effects. One feature that all Kineticists have is the Impulse Junction. A Wood Kineticist Impulse Junction takes effect whenever they use an impulse that takes 2 or more actions. It gives them temporary hit points equal to their level. In addition, one impulse that all Kineticists have, regardless of element, is base kinesis. This allows you to do basic alterations to your element. I have created a separate video for talking about that more in depth. After that, Elemental Blast. This is the base attack of all Kineticists. So, to start, you choose whether you're doing a 1-action or a 2-action Elemental Blast. For both, you roll an attack roll and add Constitution. However, for a 1-action, you only deal 1d8 damage, and if you're in melee, you add Strength modifier. 2-action allows you to add Constitution, in addition to the Strength modifier, or at range. A 2-action Elemental Blast also activates your Kinetic Junction, giving you temporary hit points as Wood Kineticist. Some general feats that all Kineticists have access to, and which can take your first level feat slot, are Extended Kinesis, Elemental Familiar, Versatile Blasts, and Weapon Infusion. So the first of these is Extended Kinesis, which changes your base Kinesis ability. I go more in depth in a separate video. The second is Elemental Familiar, which gives you an Elemental Familiar, and it uses the Familiar rules, which are more complicated than I'll go into here. The third choice is Versatile Blast, which adds an additional damage type to your Kinetic Blast that you can use in place of bludgeoning or vitality damage for the Wood Kineticist. For the Wood Kineticist, this damage type is Poison. The fourth choice is Weapon Infusion. It allows you to, as a free action, convert your Kinetic Blast to a weapon shape. It still uses the other rules for Kinetic Blast. The damage becomes slashing, piercing, or bludgeoning, and you gain a choice of traits. This takes a free action before your next impulse and can only be used directly before Kinetic Blast. It could be useful for the Wood Kineticist, especially if you're in melee. The Wood Kineticist specific impulses, which you get 2 of at level 1 as a Wood Kineticist, using solely wood, are Fresh Produce. This is a healing ability that you create a berry at the foot of someone in your kinetic aura emanation. So that is within 10 feet of you. This berry can be consumed with 1 action. and it heals 1d4 plus 1 HP at first level. This number increases as you gain levels. In addition, it grants Void Resistance 2 for 10 minutes, and the creature cannot consume another berry for 10 minutes. The second choice is Hail of Splinters. It is a 2-action overflow impulse, so after you use it, you do not have your kinetic aura active. It deals 1d4 piercing and 1d4 persistent bleeding damage, which is persistent and can only be removed by a medicine check or a healing ability, to all creatures in a 30-foot cone. It forces a basic reflex save versus your Kineticist class DC. So it is usually best used if you have a group of enemies in an area. It can hit allies. The third choice is Hardwood Armor, which takes 1 action, and it grants you armor with an AC bonus of +3, a dex cap of +2, a check penalty of -2, speed penalty 5 feet if you do not have 14 strength, and bulk 1. It is also the group Wood, if that affects certain abilities. It also allows you to use shield block without the feat. The fourth option is Timber Sentinel, which is an ability that you can use to help your allies. It takes 2 actions, and you create a tree within 30 feet of you. Any allies standing next to it can direct damage dealt to them to the tree instead. It has 10 AC and 10 HP at first level. It is the same as the spell Protector Tree, if you need to look up specific rules interactions. The final thing I'm going to talk about today is the role of the Wood Kineticist. The first option for them is Support. It's well suited for this role because of the Protector Tree and the berries. So you can reduce your allies' damage taken and heal them. It is still not as good as a dedicated spellcaster in those roles because your abilities are infinite, whereas spellcasters use spell slots. The other choice, which is interesting for the Wood Kineticist, is secondary melee. You should not be a primary melee as a Wood Kineticist or a tank. Those are better suited for champion, monk, or fighter, specifically champion and monk for tank. But you can go in melee because you could get the Hardwood Armor impulse, whereas many spellcasters do not. In addition, all Kineticists, because their main statistic is Constitution, have additional hit points, which allows for more action in melee. However, if you want a damaging Kineticist, there are better options, namely Fire and likely Metal. That is all for today. If anyone has a video request, please ask in the comments below, and I will see you in the future. Bye!